Hey everybody, this is Brothario, divorced single dad, now doing my part to try and prevent all the guys out there from making so many of the same mistakes that all the guys that came before seemingly have. Today we're going to be reacting to a video, and I think everyone's probably already heard this story before of this lady that has, tried to live as a guy for a year and she couldn't handle it. So let's get into it.
To find out what it was actually like to live as a man, and what she reported should wake all of you up. She cut her hair, she lowered her voice, and she lived as Ned for over a year. And what happened to her is the part.
Cutting hair and lowering voice. I mean, I'm sure there's more to what she tried to do to live as a man, and aside from calling her name, but that doesn't count as being a man, obviously. But we get the drift of what she was trying to do.
That most people don't like hearing. After the experiment, she had a severe depressive breakdown and she checked herself into a psychiatric facility. Years later,
Like I say in a lot of my videos, well, pretty much all of my videos, and I'm sure if anyone has watched any of my videos, you'll see that I say things that a lot of people probably are like, "Oh, you're being very mean," and blah 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 blah. No, I'm being realistic. We live in a time now where everyone is so mentally soft that it's like embarrassing. So when I tell people that if I call people names and say that they're mentally weak and all stuff, it's because they are. Like you can't go through life being so mentally weak and expect to be able to survive. You do have to have a bit of mental toughness. Now I'm not saying you need to be like, was it not Walton Goggins? That's the actor, David Goggins. That former Navy SEAL guy is just like running around with his like toenails falling off and all this stuff. It's like stay hard all the time. You don't have to be like that guy, but you do have to like have some form of toughness to you. In general, you can't just go around like being offended and being set back by every little thing. You have to actually have mental fortitude if you want to be able to survive, let alone succeed at anything.
she chose medically assisted in Switzerland. Her name was Nora Vincent. These are the harsh realities that she said men endure. Number one.
Okay, first and foremost, so she managed to live as a man, quote unquote, whatever that counts as, for 1 year, and that was all she was able to take, and she checked herself out permanently. So 1 year for a woman to try and live like a man, and that's all she was able to handle. I'm going on 42 years of this and truck along just fine.
Dating is a gauntlet. As a woman, you naturally get approached. As a man, you do the approaching. You risk rejection every single time. You risk being humiliated every single time. And she literally was stunned by how cold women could be to men that they weren't interested in. She said being a man felt like you're guilty until proven innocent, boring until proven valuable. You don't get any grace, you get tested. Number two.
Yeah, so I wouldn't know anything right now about trying to do any of the dating stuff. I have been out of that boat for many years, and I have really no interest in trying to get back into it. So I don't know how difficult it is now. I hear horror stories nonstop of, especially on these apps, and like you see this incredibly like out of touch with reality headset that women seem to be in. They'll be like, on a scale of 1 to 10, they'll be like 1.5, twos, if that. And they're trying to say that 6, 7, 8, nines, right, are somehow too ugly and below them. Like these look like actual like beached whales, and they'll try and say that someone that's like is active, stays fit, all this stuff is like somehow not good enough for them. It's absolutely absurd. So yeah, I can imagine that is all very terrible now. Back when I was younger, back in my very early 20s, I had a job at a place in like a college town to where I would like chicks would come in there because they'd have issues with certain things, and I uh, I got like approached a lot, and that was very nice. I That job ended up working out very well for me, if you know what I mean. So it's not like I was like I'm like a very like a not attractive dude, like just like to get that out there. I'm not really attractive, but I don't know if, obviously I'm older now, but I don't know if I were to now, or even if I was in my 20s right now, if that would have the same outcome as what happened previously. I just don't know if I think things has changed drastically, so I couldn't even say anything on that. But yeah, you do have that as a guy, like you're looked at as creepy, or you're perceived as a threat if you're just going about your day. We all know the whole thing about how women would much rather run into a bear than a guy out in the woods, because God forbid should a guy just be hiking out in the woods enjoying nature like we really love. Um, that's crazy. We never want that. I'd rather be approached by a bear that could, will just rip me to shreds and eat me. But that, and yet and that's what I was saying, like, too, where it says it feels like everything's transactional with guys. Like, your worth is only what can you provide for me at this any given moment when it comes to women and society in general. Is what are you providing for me now? Are you providing enough? If not, oh well, toss you to the side. Want nothing to do with it. That's the reality of being a guy, and that's why I can come across so hard or crass as other things I'm saying, because you have to have mental toughness to deal with that. The reality of it is we can do this all we want, but society isn't going to change. And if it does change, it isn't going to change overnight. It's going to change over the course of decades. So in order to fill out that time, you still have to be able to manage your way through the world the way it is right now. And you have to have mental fortitude to do that. So you got to suck it up, toughen up, accept what the reality is, and figure out how to make your way through it while working on trying to improve it simultaneously.
Men live in an emotional straitjacket. If a man shows real pain, people get uncomfortable. He's told to man up. He gets looked at differently, even by women who say they want a sensitive man. She said it felt like a man's value wasn't who he was naturally. It was what he could do, what he could provide, and what he could endure. Number 3.
Yeah, exactly what I just said. Yeah, stoicism is not a bad thing. Okay, so we need to establish that being stoic is actually a good thing. It's like a very masculine thing to not get overly emotional or not get overly show pain and all the stuff like this, because when you do sorts of things like that, evolutionarily, that is showing weakness. And if you want to survive and reproduce and be looked up to and followed and lead, you have to be able to hide that weakness, because if do not hide that weakness, there will be someone else that comes along to try and get into your spot, to try and take you over. There will be Scar from the Lion King coming in to take out Mufasa, right? That is what will happen. You have to be able to still maintain your composure and all this stuff. It doesn't mean as guys we don't feel certain things, we just can't express them. Because when we do express them, not only will you be looked at differently by guys, but like she said, women will look at you differently too. Because they say they want one thing, but they say they want one thing, but they always want something totally different. So they say, oh, I want a sensitive guy. No, you don't. If you say you want a sensitive guy, no, you want a gay friend. That's what you want. You don't want a sensitive guy to be in a relationship with. What enjoyment would you get out of that? So they'll say they'll want one thing, but they actually mean the opposite. So yeah, if you do show weakness, you are looked down upon. It changes your perception around everyone else. Okay? So it's just what it is. It's just reality, and that's just what we have to accept. So you do have to be stoic in how you go about life. You do have to be mentally tough in how you have to go about life, or you will get left behind. You will get trampled as other people use you as stepping stones for themselves to progress.
Invisibility. Unless a man is high status or extremely attractive, he's background noise. He gets no compliments, no smiles, and no validation at all. Not like the women, nothing. And on top of that, she literally felt the constant pressure of being seen as a threat, a creep, just for existing in public. Imagine walking around feeling like you're automatically suspicious. That messes with your head. Number 4.
Okay. Yeah, so she's saying stuff that I've just kind of already said. Yeah, I, being that I was in a relationship for so long, I really don't get compliments from anyone other than like someone I like actually know. And I have like a little side gig I do for extra money and stuff, and I'll get flirted with from time to time. And I can tell when chicks are kind of moderately interested in me. It just comes from the way they act, but they're not just come out and just giving like straight up compliments. I can't tell you the last time I got an actual compliment from anyone that wasn't someone that I know. So I have nothing. I have no idea. But like I said, a long time ago, back in my early 20s, 2 decades ago, I used to get the stuff all the time. So things have changed drastically. So that's probably just the way it is nowadays. Like you are just avoiding all that stuff. But yeah, it's always been that way. It's the same way it goes with chicks. Well, so I should say this a little bit differently. As guys, unless you're like ultra high status, like flaunting money, all this shit, or you're extremely attractive, you will be ignored. Same thing goes for women. Unless you're like smoking good looking, you can be ignored. But the difference is when it comes to interacting between the two, if you are one of those ignored guys trying to interact with women that want nothing to do with you, they will treat you like shit. Generally, if you are one of those ignored women that are trying to interact with guys that aren't into you, the guys will still treat you with a modicum of respect. They won't like be stone cold, say, get away from me, you whatever insult I'm telling you right now, woman, to make you feel bad. No, they'll try to be as best as they can polite to you and, be nice and all that stuff. That's at least my experience that I've personally lived and from what I've seen. Could that be different nowadays too? Maybe. But there's definitely a difference between the way men and women treat each other based on attractive levelness and how they tolerate people that they don't deem not worthy necessarily, but desirable enough for them. That's just there's a big difference in that.
Male hierarchy is real. Men test each other. Confidence, dominance, and their boundaries. If you don't push back, you get eaten alive. You get bullied, and then you get disrespected. Some men learn to harden up because that's how you survive in male spaces. Number 5.
Yeah, toughen your ass up. That's the way you do it. And yes, there is definitely hierarchy. And you generally know when you walk into a room, at least guys can. If you walk in a room, you can size everybody up and know exactly where everyone stands and where they think they stand. Because you have a lot of these people with overinflated egos that think they're hot shit when they aren't. To where you can tell that they would snap under pressure. But I have never been to prison. But it's my understanding that when you go to prison, like when you're new there, you will come up or you'll be, let's say you're sitting down for chow time or meal time, whatever you call it. You will have the already established hierarchy of people in there come over and trying to give you a hard time. So say like the person at the top will be the first person to come over, gives you some shit, mess with your food, and then the next person below that, and so on, so on, so on, so on. And then at whatever point in time you decide that enough is enough, and you put that other person down, that's where you end up ranking yourself in the hierarchy. Ideally, if you know how to protect yourself, well, first of all, ideally you don't go to prison, okay? You shouldn't be doing something to be putting yourself in such a situation to end up in prison. But let's say you end up in prison and you're not a piece of shit person. You're just like, say you're there for some of the wrong reason. Ideally, the way you would handle it is you would, right as soon as the first person comes up to you and tries to give you shit, you beat their ass like without a doubt at all, and then you eat their meal. That shows you exactly that you're not to be fucked with by anybody. Now, that person will then want to try and come back and get your ass at some given time, but that's just the nature of prison. You always got to be looking over your shoulder. And guess what you have to do in prison? You really have to harden the fuck up. If you want to get through this, you have to do it. Don't let people walk all over you. You got to push back. You decide how much shit you're going to take. And how much shit you're going to take is going to depend on how society reacts to you. And also, I think I want to say this too, because I always find this comical. The whole thing about the alpha male, whatever, that is not a real thing in human speak. That's like a thing that they claim comes from like wolves and shit. that doesn't even apply to wolves. But if you have any sort of guy that tries to claim themselves to be, I'm an alpha, I'm an alpha male, I'm the alpha male. No, you are. You're the biggest bitch out there possible. The true quote unquote alpha male is the one that doesn't have to say anything, and everyone knows what the deal is and how to react around them. That would be the true, if you want to use the term alpha. But anyone that tries to claim themselves to be an alpha, they're a pushover.
The silent loneliness. This was the one that ended up crushing her. She said that men suffer in silence. They don't talk because deep down they believe something horrible. Nobody actually wants to hear it, so they isolate themselves. They bond around just activities, work, sports, projects. But when it comes to real emotional support, many men have none. And she described that as emotional malnutrition, a form of starvation that most people never even notice. These are her last words. Men are suffering. They have different problems than women have, but they are not better off. They need our help. They need our love, and they need each other more than anything else. Rest in peace, Nora.
Yeah, there's the whole thing going on now about the male loneliness epidemic. And I mean, that is really a true thing. We are, as guys, not supposed to express our feelings. And again, you may think that is like societally wrong or something like this, but it is evolutionarily imperative because it will be used against you and it does show signs of weakness. Now, you may say, oh, we're much more advanced in society than we used to be in the past, and we don't really need to worry about that anymore. That's fine for you to think so, but that's not the case. There are still those people out there that will use anything they possibly can against you, so you do have to deal with it in silence. And it's not that you don't have people to talk to, because you as a guy, if you can make some really good guy friends, you can always talk to your guy friends and they will understand and they will help you lift you out of that funk by doing things like activities and hanging out, working on cars, going hiking, going shooting, going like doing physical stuff. Why is it always some sort of like physical thing as opposed to sitting around talking? Because men inherently, we have testosterone and aggression, and doing physical things allows us to expel that aggression and testosterone stuff that we have built up while also getting an endorphin boost. Sitting there and talking as a guy doesn't do anything for us. Sitting there and, doing martial arts or fighting with each other, playing a pickup basketball game or something like that, that allows us to bond, and that allows us to reset, recharge, and it also allows us in the meantime to talk about some shitty things that's going on, and the other guys will understand what's happening, and then they will try and pitch in to help lift you out of that funk. This is a thing that guys can do that women cannot do, and I say this in all my videos. Guys will elevate other guys. They will pick them up to try and lift them up. Women are incapable of that. Women will try to drag everyone else down to their lowest level of misery. That is how women operate, and that is why we are different than guys. So that is why women always want to self-sabotage or ruin the relationships of their friends when their friends are happy, but they are not. Women do that. Guys don't do that. Guys always try to lift them up. So we are not truly suffering in silence. She was suffering in silence because she doesn't know how to react or how to be a guy and communicate guy ways, right? So is there a loneliness epidemic going on? Absolutely. But that has a lot to do with the way women treat guys nowadays, this whole disconnect from reality that was brought on from the internet and social media and all this stuff, and this overinflated opinion of themselves that women have when they don't deserve it in any way, form, or fashion. All that stuff is what's playing into the loneliness epidemic, I think. But guys have to deal with things different than women. Men and women are different, despite what a lot of people out there want to say. And those people that are saying that are trying to change reality, are doing it to fit their own narrative, to try and control narrative, to essentially break down what it means to be a man. They're all about toxic masculinity, this toxic masculinity, that. What they call toxic is traditional masculinity. And they are trying to rid society of that. That's why there seems to be like this gigantic explosion of like gay, like very womanized, feminine. I don't even want to call them men because they're not men. Feminine creatures that still have a penis out there. Those have exploded. Be it by I'm sure has a whole lot to do with the way society is trying to do is that the fact that everything has been too matriarchal, the fact that women are in too many positions of power, the fact that women have taken over the education system, the fact that a lot of single parents' homes are primarily where the women have the kids because they have managed to break the court system in their favor. It probably has a fact to do with that, like all of our damn food is just packed full of hormones and random drugs to try and get these things to grow. All of that has an effect. And you can look at it now and see in society how that is bringing it down. But that is why I am so adamant. And when I'm saying that you still have to toughen up, you have to still be a man. Yes, there are things we deal with. Yes, there are things that we should want to change. Yes, there are things we need to work to change. But until we can actually change the stuff, and as we're working to change the things, we still have to be able to deal with the things the way they are now. So we need to toughen up. There's entire generations out there that are just pussies because they've been handed a participation trophy from the beginning, told that you are great. It doesn't matter what you do. You don't have to put in any effort. You're just great the way you are, and you'll be able to achieve whatever you want. No, you can't. You will lose. You are a loser. You will get left behind because you took that to be the way things are when it couldn't be any further from the truth. If you want to do anything in life, it takes hard work. You have to strive for it. You have to push for it. You have to fight back against all the outside forces trying to stop you, and you have to kick its ass. That's just the way it is. And in order to do that, you have to have mental toughness. You have to be a man. So, sucks for this lady that decided to try it for a year and then check out permanently, but not everyone's cut out for being a man. Clearly she wasn't. And it's just sad that, yet again, I don't know if we can even count her towards the whole unfortunate male suicide pandemic that we have going on. But yeah, that's all I got for today, guys. This is Brothario. Let me know what you guys think in the comments and all this stuff. And I want to thank you guys for watching, and I'll check you later.
All right, check you later.